Do you want to read it? Because it's long.
The first part is long.
All right. Why don't you read it? And then I'll do the one,
The last
But
two.
that way you say in the final thoughts, and I would read that just because it's
Well, we want you to have to prompt people to respond.
correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hello.
Hi.
My daughter Robin.
Hi.
Jay,
Yeah.
Jay,
Yeah.
nice to
Yeah.
meet you. Hi, Jay.
don't cut me out of the bridge. This was just not good.
No, I got someone else to play
Okay.
today.
Well, keep me in
I
mind.
will. Yeah. Okay. All right. Yeah.
Keep
Okay.
you in
You
mind.
enjoyed that dinner last night? It was a good dinner last night.
It was a very good dinner.
Seafood dinner was really good.
Yeah. It was. Okay.
Are you from Maryland?
Well, Connecticut.
Long story short,
Yeah.
right?
We were up in Connecticut, Maryland, Virginia, Maryland.
There you go. We went back and forth, back and forth. Oh, now.
Okay. There's Gloria.
Oh, how nice to see you. Wow, how are you? Hello. Hi, good to see you again.
This is my granddaughter Gloria from here.
He's a retired Navy.
Oh, nice.
Submariner.
Oh, okay.
You're below, and she's above.
Yes. Yeah, so now I just want to name on that.
Well, great. Welcome. Connecticut is
Yeah, really not I mean, I take the express lanes. I don't like sitting in traffic.
Sure.
Yeah.
Where you want to sit?
I was gonna grab some coffee. So we live in Vernon, so it's on the Virginia side of Springfield.
And our husband's
Yeah. I'm in town, but officer.
great.
Yeah.
No, I spent 20-some years in Vernon.
Oh, really? Oh, nice. Yeah, actually, one of our neighbors, he just moved out of the neighborhood, but his daughter actually is a submariner now.
There you go.
Amazing how times have changed.
I know. You want coffee?
Yeah.
No, not the granddaughter's wife. It's my father-in-law's grandson is a pilot. His wife is also here. Yeah. So he
Just makes it
got
nasty and everything. But Jesse, is he the one who does the recording for everything? But he was like right on it.
No, it's my father-in-law's grandson. Bob's grandson.
He'll do it.
And the grandson's also here.
Oh, okay. Oh, so he was recording. Now, will this be streamed as well as recorded for
Gloria.
It's not going to be, I don't think it's going to be streamed.
It all came on TV, so that's what I didn't know if they were doing it live.
And the question that I don't have the answer to
Why were you there?
when, it's not going to be streamed live.
Oh, so he'll just keep it.
But if have it, at some point, you'll put it in the
If we have to go.
What did you do at the airport?
Your buddies are back there. Your friends are back there.
Oh, your friend? Your friend?
Our primary care doctor.
I'm gonna go either to the Pentagon or I've actually heard
No, I'm all. Yeah, breakfast.
It's nice that you do the
I had one in there.
It's kind of warm.
No,
No?
it's not.
All right, okay, all right.
Tempting.
You don't think?
Tempting.
All right.
like full day trainings. And the training sessions like I've been in it for 17 years. Okay, there you go. Yeah. So ironically, I only have classified access after that facility right now, and I need to do classified work today. So basically, once I'm done here, I'm gonna like send a message to my office in Pentagon and ask if it's available.
I'm wondering, how are you?
And then if that's not, then I'm gonna send a message to the master searcher I work with to ask if my class accounts are ready at the other facility and if the doors are still good. Yeah.
Nothing more?
We're in this stage where she's stuff coming
Come here.
in, so we just like throw stuff, like put it on the tree.
You missed that. Yeah. I got that one. Good.
Oh, she loves it.
Yeah.
We said big family dinners and dog
Yeah.
Right? I mean, yeah. She doesn't know about the fire. They had all the fire. It was like 6 in the morning. I thought you had to say that. You're like, oh,
Yeah, I'm excited to see this too. See the photos and Charlotte's fighting something. She got into a last year. Yeah, before she got her tonsils out, I mean, anytime she got sick, she always got cases of cervical last year. I mean, she was right. And so Charlotte got to sleep study. We wanted to do at the beginning. So yeah, so he's still she Sophia always like
Good morning, all. The clock has hit 10, so it's time for us to get started with a very special MUND council meeting. Our routine today will be a little bit different. We'll have a prayer, and then we'll start with a couple of presentations, and then get on to the business. So without further ado, I would ask Reverend Esther Holloman, to offer a prayer for us to get us off on the right foot.
Let us pray. Beloved Creator, known to us by many names and different traditions, we come to this meeting place aware of your presence. This is a time of holiday preparations, which has been marred by the unexpected tragic loss of Marion Patel. We have also lost and remember Ann Quester. May your presence and our prayers be a comfort to their families. Sharpen our mental acuity that we may receive the information disseminated to us at this council meeting. We ask your blessing for the leadership of the MUND Council and for all residents who dwell in this building. These things we ask in your most holy name. Amen.
Thank you. Thank you. All right. At this point, we will diverge from our usual schedule and offer a exciting presentation. Bob Tedesco, who some of you may know, and his daughter, Robin Capresso, were on a trip to Normandy for D-Day. And they are going to describe for us how that went and show us some pictures. Robin, you're up. Take it away.
Okay, thank you, Bill. Now, Bob is hiding behind me. So just know that he is there. Okay, there he is. Okay. So we're glad to be here and want to thank everyone for coming. And we know this is being recorded for people that may not have been able to make it this morning. So thank you for being with us, whether you're watching from home or from here. Also want to thank Bill Hicks for organizing our second event here at Asbury. We were at Kinley in November, so this is very special to be here as well. And I know that in the loss of Marion and Ann, we just want to dedicate this presentation to them for just during this grieving time, and just that we're thinking about them and praying for them. Also, just a few other thank yous. Patricia Harris, if you can raise your hand, is right here in the front, and she was very instrumental in having my dad, his name be brought forward to go on this trip. And so she was able to come this morning. So thank you very much. And so Dad, you want to go ahead and do your oath?
Well, good morning, everybody. I'm very happy that you all came to hear about our exciting trip and about commemorating the 80th anniversary of the D-Day landing at Normandy. It was indeed an exciting and memorable trip. But first, at this time, I think it would be very appropriate for us to express our thanks to Bill Hicks for his heroic deeds and his intervention in putting out the fire last Friday on the 6th floor. He heard the alarm and immediately went there and extinguished the fire before the fire department got there. And thank you, Bill. I hope that all of us right now would give him a round of applause. Get well, Bill. June 6, 1944 will always remain to be the most memorable occasion. Combined Allied forces embarked on a mission that brought together land, sea, and air forces for the largest amphibious invasion in military history. 80 years later, American Airlines and several other organizations through the USO brought nearly 70 World War II veterans to France to commemorate the historic event that took place at Normandy. Both Delta and United Airlines also sponsored similar trips, but they were of a smaller scale. The D-Day invasion was truly a remarkable feat of sheer bravery, a joint combined effort of military forces, principally of the United States, Canada, and Great Britain, a task that led to the ultimate defeat of Nazi terrorism. It was estimated that over 150,000 Allied troops made the landing on the morning of June 6th at several beach sites in Normandy. Earlier, paratroopers of the 82nd and the 101st Airborne units were as pathfinders for the main forces. It had been estimated that over 1,000 young Americans lost their lives that day. And the cemetery at Omaha Beach contains over 9,000 graves of American soldiers that perished during the entire overall battle at Normandy. And at the cemetery at Omaha Beach, the trees are topped, they're cut short to symbolize and memorialize the lost youth of the men who perished at Normandy. I did not personally partake of this effort. My service in the European theater was later in Italy, and in reality there are only a few remaining survivors that actually made the landing at Normandy. As a consequence, the group that we were with consisted mainly of those who served at some point in the European theater of operations. And my service was in Italy with the 88th Infantry Division. Our group was very diverse and included others that you will hear more about later. Again, thank you all for coming. My daughter Robin, who did the groundwork for this event and accompanied me here today, and she will start the program for us. Thank you. Robin?
Hey, thank you again. So just to acknowledge the people that put this together, this entire trip, you'll see a lot of our attire is from American Airlines. And people have been coming up to me, even at Panera, that, do you work for American Airlines? And no, but they were one of our biggest sponsors for this, as well as Old Glory Honor Flight out of Wisconsin. And like I mentioned, Patricia she works at the USO at Reagan Airport. And my colleague also works there, who was at the last presentation, Vicki. And they together were able to have my dad's name be put forward for this and special event. So we'd like to go ahead with this. And Dad, some of the dates.
Yeah. There are a number of events throughout the history of our land that really are significant to our development as a country. And starting off at when we first became a nation in 1776. Then our Civil War, World War I, then our attack on Pearl Harbor, the D-Day invasion that we're hearing more about today, and the hijacked planes. Each of these events have an impact on the shape and development of our nation. Here is the Life magazine. I don't know if you all remember them or not, but that used to be our CNN and ABC News at that time. It was published every week, and this one here was on June 19th, just after the invasion, with General Eisenhower, and notice it was 10 cents at the time. The eyes of the world are upon you. The hopes and prayers of liberty-loving people everywhere march with you. And that was General Eisenhower. He had an awesome responsibility following the invasion. And there you see the landing craft of one of the most bring the troops in. Here's the beach, the map of the beach areas. The Americans were at Utah and Omaha and Point du Hoc, and the British and Canadians at Gold, Juno, and Storage. All there at that morning.
Oh,
You want to say something on that, Robin?
Yeah. We'll go back one. Yeah.
Right.
You have my little pointer, this little fancy thing here.
Yeah.
Just to point out on the map right here, because one of the slides later on, I'll be sharing about our time at Point du Hoc. Just so you see, most of our time here was in Utah, on Utah Beach and Omaha Beach. And this is one of the other locations that we went to, which is right in between those. And also St. Mire de Glace, it's very close. It's a small village, and that is right near the Omaha, Utah Beach. So just wanted to point those out while we had the map on.
What am I doing wrong, Robin? No?
Okay.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Okay. Now, 80 years later on our trip.
Okay. Okay, so this, we were able to, American Airlines chartered one plane for us to use, just the people that went on this trip. And we just kind of put together, there were 68 World War II veterans, and their ages were ranging from 96 to 107. So my dad was one of the babies. Yeah, he was one of the babies. And then each of them could pick a guardian that could go. And he asked me, and it was interesting because the flight went out of Fort Worth, Dallas, Fort Worth, where we live. My husband and I live there. And so it worked out really well. And so he flew in a couple days ahead of time and stayed a couple days after. So, and then there were 6 Medal of Honor recipients. There were 2 Rosie the Riveters and a Waves woman. These women who had volunteered during World War II to work in the factories while the men were at war. And so it was really neat to meet them. And that's actually, she's right there with my dad, right? She was right there. We were at dinner. She was, with a hat on, right? She was one of the Rosie, right? There was a group of cadets, midshipmen. There were about 50 of them who also played instruments. They sang, and they accompanied each of the veterans. Not everyone had one, but we kind of doubled up. And ours, you'll see a little bit later, her name was Gabby, and they just wonderful. And of course, amazing medical team that followed us wherever we went. They wore orange hats. You'll see them in the other. But so they took very good care of us. And again, kudos to American Airlines and Old Glory Honor Flight. And then the other sponsors at the bottom. Gary Sinise has a foundation for veterans, and he was also there at Fort Worth when we left. And Tri-West and Robert Irving was the chef, right? He was the chef on her. Yeah. Right there is my dad's cadet was Gabby, and she still communicates with us from West Point, and it was just very special to have her with us. And here we are at the campus in DFW. As I mentioned, that's where we took our flight left from, and they had a wonderful dinner for us, dancing. A few people were dancing. Yeah. And our send-off and the bus here, this is the campus in the back, but we were shuttled everywhere. So that was very special too. Yeah. And they rolled out the red carpet for all the vets everywhere we went. There were just streams of people, parades honoring the veterans. And one of them right here was at the headquarters before we left. When we walked in, there were 3 tiers of people just welcoming us and just so appreciative. And this was part of our send-off here. And Gary Sinise was, he spoke during that. Again, he had the foundation that.
Lieutenant Dan. Gary Sinise was Lieutenant Dan in Forrest Gump. Yeah, he has his own foundation there. And on the far right, I call them the Andrews sisters. They sang for us.
Yeah, they're from Louisiana, and so they basically they didn't go to Normandy with us, but they sure did entertain us. They were wonderful. The plane that we went on was decorated with flags and pictures of each of the vets, and it was just from beginning to end so well taken care of. So just made us feel very, very special. So this was one of the photos in the plane.
All right. Yeah, our first stop in Paris was at the American Cemetery at Sicily, and the picture on the right was the one of the soldiers that came up as the honor guard, and then after the ceremony, you had playing a tap. Now, most of the veterans here are from World War I. Yeah. Okay, Robin. You want to take this one? Okay. And many streets in Paris are very narrow. And so our bus driver got a little overambitious here and trying to negotiate the roads, and it didn't work out too well. So we ended up going here with some of the people in the neighborhood, and as soon as they heard or saw what was going on, they came out immediately and wanted to help us out. They offered to come into their homes, to use their facilities, and whether we needed anything, but they took good care of us for the first time like that. On the far right, we were on the Seine River, and there you see a Statue of Liberty. It's a miniaturized version of what we have here. It was given by America to France on the anniversary of the Revolution. And behind it, of course, is the Eiffel Tower. Okay. Next one, Rob.
Yeah, well, I wanted to comment on this little boy right here.
Yeah.
Who had the bomber jacket on. My dad, each of the vets were given a hat, and the Guardians too, but my nephew has it. So it said D-Day, and one of them gave this little boy this hat, and he's not wearing it. Was after, but he just lit up. He was so happy they were so instrumental when our bus broke down, because the father and the dad, they were taking you can imagine we had all these wheelchairs that had to get off and go up down the hill, and they all did that without complaining. They were just so happy to help, and they didn't speak English. It was fine. They were just so grateful to us and helped us, and so he got a hat, and he was just so tickled, so happy.
Next one. Well, here we're at the Arc de Triomphe. We have a ceremony there with some of the French dignitaries. And much to my surprise, my grandson Stephen showed up. He's stationed in Germany. So there we are at the Ark, and it was quite an impressive ceremony. So kind of Stephen stayed with us pretty much throughout the whole trip.
Yeah, he surprised us on a
Yeah.
couple events, just showing up, and it was indeed very special. There was another family who had a grandson that came,
Yeah, yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And so that was special because we were all on different buses, and so they were able to meet each other.
Okay. On our venture here, we stopped off at this place for lunch, and there we had a whole variety of old World War II equipment that had been restored. I had never seen so much stuff like that on a Jeep, and then on the far right, the motorcycle. I'm not sure about the second one. I know it's a German hand grenade. Why it's on the Jeep, I'm not sure, but it wasn't the real one at the time. Yeah.
Yeah, I had to translate.
Yeah.
I had to
Yeah.
go onto Google Translate. What does that mean?
Yeah.
So, but that was right on the Jeep where your hand is, right there, right,
Yeah,
Dad?
in the center, yeah.
Right there.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
And just to point out, the orange hats, blue shirts, these were
Yeah.
the medical team.
Yeah.
That were with us, and there were multiple buses, but there were always, I believe, two on every bus, and of course on the plane. But you could spot them right away.
Yeah.
So if there was an emergency, or we knew where they were, and they carried all their packs with them. I mean, they had all their medical supplies if need be. And so it was nice to be able to know where they were while we were there.
They were all military reserve officers. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's right.
Okay. Okay. In there.
They actually worked out of Old Glory Honor Flight.
Yeah.
A lot of them in Wisconsin.
Okay. So our first stop at Omaha, and you see the scene there. The choral group was there, and they sang a song. They had a wreath laying, and you see the reflection of the soldier looking out now. They're on a very quiet area. Okay.
Very special moment.
Yeah.
Each of us were given a glass jar there was one from Omaha Beach and one from Utah Beach. And so we were able to very carefully and respectfully go down to the beach and take a sample of the sand.
Yeah.
And so that was a very nice, very somber time too. So we brought that. This is the one from Omaha.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Here, my grandson and I walking along Omaha Beach, kind of a quiet stroll in a reflective moment. And then the grandson with Robin and I, the name was good name, very quiet, very few words were spoken, really. Okay.
It's overcast like it did here yesterday.
Yeah, yeah.
A lot of rain, and the gear we had, again, supplied for us was very helpful.
Yeah. Okay.
This was the location between Omaha and Utah Beach. This is Point de Hawk, and it's a 35-meter cliff. And I know, Dad, you tell this story much better, but these were the U.S. Rangers came during the assault when they first came onto the beach and climbed this, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead.
And, just visualize that the Germans were on top, and the Americans, the 2nd Ranger Battalion and the 4th Division were trying to go up the cliff. Their mission was to knock out the certain cannons that were firing there. And as they went up, the Germans were just firing down on them and throwing hand grenades on them. So it was a heroic feat for them to do that. They lost a lot of men at that point. But it's still very visible now. You walk around the area, you'll see huge numbers of craters where shells and bombing has hit. and all the emplacements are still there. I think back in the 80s, the former President Reagan gave a speech in commemoration of that assault. Okay, Rob.
So our next stop was at Utah Beach. And again, we were able to take a sample of some of the sand there. And this was a very special day on June 5th. My mother, my dad's wife, had passed away exactly 5 years before that. She lived here, first in Munn, and then in Kinley, and then in Wilson, where she did pass away on June 5th, 2019.
Yeah, 19.
Right, 2019. So there was a chaplain on the trip right here. His name is Stephen Bell, and he is with the U.S. Army Reserves. And he was on this trip. And I asked him if he could just do a special ceremony to honor my mom on this day, exactly 5 years since what an appropriate place. Stephen was with us in the uniform, and then here's a chaplain who stayed with us during the entire trip. And so it was very special because we put roses, posies, I believe, the red ones, on the sand to honor those who had passed on the Utah beach. And we had just a wonderful prayer and reflection time.
Yeah.
Very special day.
Yeah. Okay. We had lunch at the chateau, and the assembly there was something I never thought before. It was many 3- and 4-star generals from the naval organizations assembled. We had lunch with them, and we gathered around for the picture.
I think he's like way over. My dad's like way.
I'm off on
Probably
the way
not
off on
in
the
the
left.
picture.
Yeah.
All right.
But then that's from the
Right here.
academies are there too. And I think we were told that this is one of Rommel's headquarters.
Google. Site of the German headquarters where the first German general was killed on D-Day.
Yeah.
So this is where they were staking out, right?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And they were killed. And this was the tent. They had our lunch for us. It was very nice. Yeah.
Okay. And you want to start?
This was our next stop, St. Mary de Glace. This was also the point on the map that I showed you. And everywhere we went, there were parades of people just so grateful to the vets. And this is Stephen. He's pushing the wheelchair where my dad is. And we're going down the street here. You can just see all the people just watching and just so grateful to us. Right here, it's not the same boy. But I used to be a teacher, so I just love little ones. And he was just standing on the side, and he had his uniform on, and he was waving. And I said, "Oh, you have to come over here because I have to get a picture with you." Of course, made sure his parents were okay with that. And he was just so proud, and so that's him right there. Just all dressed up. There were a lot of people dressed up, weren't they?
Many people.
Yeah.
I never saw so many people in uniform.
Mhm.
They just seem to have all American uniforms on and was walking around the parade and greeting us and very warmly. So,
My dad asked, well, this was in the same magazine, right, Dad?
Yeah.
That we showed you at the beginning, the Time magazine. This is what we saw, this church right here. That evening, that very early in the morning, there were about 30 paratroopers that dropped into this village. And they were the first town in France to be liberated. But you see right up here, they still have this mannequin, so-called figure of a paratrooper that landed but got stuck. So This is to honor that paratrooper, and his name was, oh gosh, here I lost it. Thank you, John Steele.
Yeah.
And he was actually up there for 2 hours. Now, this is reality, right? This was back then how the town looked, but they still have this figure there to remember him and what happened on that fateful early morning.
They made a movie on this. I think it was a longest day, and the paratrooper played with red buttons at the time. And he was up there hearing the bell ring back and forth all the time.
I mean,
a couple hours.
Right here. I mean, he was up there pretending to be dead for like 2 hours, right? And then he was eventually captured and he freed himself, but and then went back. But it was just kind of neat to be part of seeing that. Yeah.
Okay. Well, here they have a reception for us now. It has a number of well-known people. Stephen Saltmer was there, who was Saving Private Ryan, and then Nancy Pelosi was there. And I have to say, even though we may not have the same political agreement, he was very gracious, very, very, very warm with you, very nice. It was good.
And she gave you a coin, right, Dad?
Yeah, a challenge coin, yeah.
A challenge coin that means thankfulness and respect, right?
Yeah, he was all right.
And it has her name on it, the White House.
Yeah.
So she went to go shake my dad's hand and put this right in his palm.
Yeah.
And so he still has it. Yeah, that was all the red carpet too. I mean, I heard Tom Hanks was there, and it was a very special time.
Yeah, it was, yeah.
Sure.
Okay. And then we had Lindsey Graham. And then much to my surprise, I came across a fellow who was in the same outfit as I was. Apparently, he stayed in Italy after the war and married there and made his home in Europe. I didn't know him personally, but I recognized his uniform and that he was in the 88th Division. So that was quite amazing. It was good. Yeah. Okay.
And this is all at Normandy right before the ceremony.
Yeah.
So they had this, and then we went out.
Yeah. And here we were marching up to the ceremony, and we read by Secretary of Defense Lloyd Austin and the Secretary of State, Anthony Blinken. That was quite moving, really. Yeah.
We don't see the trees you mentioned, Dad. I do see one back there with the flag that you said were cut short.
Yeah.
Never.
Yeah.
The life cut
right,
short.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay. And this is the closing ceremony with President Biden and President Macron. That was very moving and very impressive. And then the cemetery right there at Normandy. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Okay.
Many of you were involved with the mail call letters. And back when the war was going on, they didn't have iPhones and texts and WhatsApp. So there were letters that were written. And so we were asked, if secretly, the Guardians were asked to collect letters so that the veteran, my dad, could open them at a special time during the trip. Well, it just got busy. And finally he opened his package. A lot of you at Asbury wrote, family, friends that wrote to my dad to just thank him, and it was a special trip, and that he would that he was part of. Go ahead.
Now I have one here from Yahoo. We are looking forward to hearing of your experiences as you participate in commemorating the Normandy landing. Please have someone take a lot of pictures of you and your daughter, and we'll make a big spread in the village life. Godspeed to your journey. Our prayers and reminiscences will be with you and all who are being honored. And we salute you and many others who are served and continue to serve. Love, Mary Magdalene.
Where is Mary Mac? Is she
Where
here?
is she? Mary Mac and
Here.
Francis and over there. And of course, Hugh.
Oh, France. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So,
Yeah.
yeah, Hugh, he passed away right after that, probably July,
Yeah.
August. Yeah. But you all were very instrumental as well. And so this was the trip of a lifetime. And so thank you to those of you that did write the letters.
Yeah.
His package was bulging. I mean, it was just,
Yeah.
so we were on the plane when they finally were able, coming home to distribute these. And again, when we arrived at DFW, there was another parade to thank. Just people just so grateful to the heroes. And you're still a hero, right, Dad?
Yeah. Right.
Still?
Yeah. Okay.
And my grandchildren, who also live in Fort Worth, made a sign because my dad was coming home with me for a couple days. And so they made a welcome home sign. He is Great Papa, and I'm Nana, like my mom, her mom. And so that was very special. I still have that.
And here's our ending now, tonight with Eisenhower's words to send them off in final tap that were found. Okay. Oh, that Robin, yeah. So we didn't take this.
You want to read?
Yeah, go ahead.
You want to read it?
No, go ahead. You read
You
it.
want me to?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
He wrote it, but I'm reading it.
Yeah.
He wanted to have another slide, my dad did, to kind of summarize our trip and our final thoughts. We know you can read it, but just real quickly here. Amid the sounds of the quiet waves along the beaches of Utah, Omaha, and Point de Hawk, one has a quiet sense of presence of those who made the landings and those who perished on June 6, 1944. It was overwhelming to see the response of the French people, young and old, expressing their thanks and gratitude for their liberation from the tyranny of Nazism. Freedom is not free. Indeed, it comes with a cost.
Yeah. Okay.
So
So there we have it. Yeah, that's our trip. Yeah. So if you have any questions or reflections, sure.
Yeah, we'll take a couple of questions here. We don't want to take too much time. I did want to mention the great appreciation. Robin came from Texas yesterday specifically to provide this activity, this presentation for us. So Robin and Frank made the trip all the way.
And of course, I flew American Airlines. And again, do you work here? No, I don't work here.
I'm sure you have lots of frequent flyer miles in American Airlines.
Yeah. Yes.
Any specific questions?
I have one thing I wanted to add that Robin just wanted to draw attention to herself didn't mention. Oh, sorry. I'm Robin's husband, Frank. One thing she didn't mention when the minister who's in the reserves did a service for her late mother. It turns out the minister is best friends with our pastor at our church in Fort Worth. They were roommates, et cetera, et cetera.
He married him. So it was just interesting how it goes back, comes full circle here. Yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you both so much. And Bob, congratulations. And